May I ask a Zen question? Or is that allowed? You're muted, which would be a great way to answer it.
Like Kirti's way.
So if someone were to ask in the loving kindness meditations, like may my body be at ease, who are we directing that to? I mean, obviously, it's not something we're doing, but we're hoping the universe does it. I mean, is that as much as you can say?
Uh, well, first of all, we don't say, may my body be at ease. We say, may this body be at ease. Um, and so it's an expression of intention and aspiration. It's not uh, an
That we want this to happen.
it's not instrumental in the way that say you pray for something to happen. It's not it's just not in that way.
I know. But I'm trying to figure out which way is it. But maybe that
It's just an expression of your aspiration. It's not intended to make the universe do anything.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Uh,
That's why it's framed that way.
so there's a little bit of hope there.
Yeah, it's the same as you would say to somebody, may you be well, right? Yeah. Alice is on her way, she says.
Yeah, I'm leading loving kindness, and I want to do it in such a way that it's not something that we do,
Right.
and so that's why I was asking about that.
I'd say it's more like we're a channel for something. That's more, I would say, energetic. That makes sense? Hi, Alice.
Hello. How are y'all?
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
So what's the energetic? Let me just ask that.
The creative intelligence of the universe, Longchenpa calls it. He
Oh,
also,
so that's what we're addressing.
that's no, it's not an entity.
Okay.
You're still trying to make it into a thing. Not a thing. An activity. The one great activity.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right. So I just posted this new, there were some images that had gotten out of whack I had to do. So
When you say posted,
Mhm.
you
on
are you
Google.
are to me
No,
or
no, 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 no. I just put it up on Google Drive and
oh
too big to download to preview or to preview. You have to download it. I didn't want to do that. So I've opened it in,
are you going to be the one sharing then?
that was what I was going to say. I have to be the one
Okay.
sharing that.
Okay,
Is that okay?
of course.
All right, let's see which one,
So
which of these.
quick, I don't mean to interrupt you, but can you all hear me? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We are on our way home, so I'm just going to listen
Okay.
for a while. It'll take us about 10 minutes, and then I'll be back into a normal place.
Okay. All right.
Okay. A fresh approach to intensives. Another set of dilemmas for Appamada arose around the subject. Oops, pardon me, I just lost my screen. Disastrous. One moment. Huh. I tried to make it slightly bigger on my screen and now it's a mess. Hold on. Come. No. Shoot, Peg. I don't know what just happened.
Just maybe what are you seeing?
If you click on the Zoom icon, then it will come back, maybe. Is Alice frozen?
It looks like it.
Yeah, why don't I go ahead and read?
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead and then Alice can read after you.
Yeah. A fresh approach to intensives. Another set of dilemmas for Appamada arose around the subjects of sessions, which we call intensives. At Great Vow, there are usually 2 sessions a month. At Zen Center San Diego, Joko had offered 3-day and 5-day sessions every other month. They were fully immersive, residential experiences where participants who traveled from all over the world brought sleeping bags and slept on the floor. All meals were made in the kitchen there. At Great Vow, too, people came for sessions full time, sleeping in the men and women's dorms. Residents cooked meals in that vast school kitchen. Great Vow was far enough out in the country that traveling back and forth from home in town was not practical. Even at Austin Zen Center, sessions were full time, although participants went home to sleep.
Are you back, Alice?
I'm back.
You want to take this next paragraph?
Sure. Such sustained practice, hours and hours spent sitting silently with others, walking together, eating together, working together, challenges us physically, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually. It's so tiring to maintain our conditioning, our ego protections, our stories, and our social appearances that within a few days of session, we wear ourselves down enough to stop the struggle and settle down into a bit of ease and clarity, beginning again to connect with our inherent wisdom about our own lives, right here and right now. It's a priceless gift of time and space. Joko used to say there's nothing else that does what a session does. It would be nice if there was, water skiing or something, but there isn't.
I'm just wondering, at what point do you want to switch over and use the word intensive?
Well,
Here.
right now we're talking about sessions. So
Okay.
we'll switch over when we're actually talking about the ones that we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a missing space between a period and Joko says.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Hold on a second.
Used to say.
Joko used to say, right?
Right, space,
Okay,
period.
yeah.
Joko used to say.
Hold on a second. I'm just getting it fixed right now. Okay, there we go. Okay. Hold on a second. Let me get this back. I move it up on my side. So I think it's you, Kim.
We knew what a sesshin could do, of course. Flint and I had, over the years, sat many sesshins and led quite a few ourselves. We wanted to provide our Sangha members the rich experience of sesshins, longer, deeper times of practice in the community. We knew the sesshins had powerful effects on our lives and on our connections with each other. Sharing zazen, meals, dharma talks, walking, meditation, and work practices slows the pace of life, quiets it, enriches it.
So this is you, Malin, I guess.
The first dilemma was logistical. It takes an enormous amount of planning. We read this last week. Preparing and coordinating to provide a 1-week residential intensive. Venues must be found and paid for far in advance. Menus must be planned, groceries purchased and stored, equipment for cooking and dining need to be transported. The teachings and schedules need to be prepared. There was a great deal of expenses in advance of any registration income, and participants need to make arrangements to be away for a week from work, from family, and pets from giving, and other responsibilities.
So, Milan, you think we read this last time?
Yeah, I read this exact paragraph.
Yeah.
So I thought we were on page 502. Where were we then?
Hmm.
Can we lower it down?
I think it was just there, so there was a whole nest of dilemmas. That doesn't sound familiar to
No,
me.
what I have written down is Flint and I, just where the next paragraph was,
I were brainstorming.
yeah, page 502.
Okay.
Oh, Flint, well, I just had Flint and I, page 502, but maybe you changed the,
The pagination might have changed since this.
yeah. So I think we're right here.
Flint and I were
Yeah,
brainstorming, or Flint and I were still working?
Why, all I put was Flint and I, so on 502.
Okay. All right. We can just start here.
Though I remember that Flint with a full psychotherapy practice,
Yeah.
but anyway,
It's probably Flint and I were brainstorming. But
yeah.
do we want to read Stephanie's thing, or did we read it last time?
We read it.
Okay, good, okay. So Flint and I were brainstorming this issue of providing such for our small householder Sangha with other teachers at the Lay Zen Teachers Association conference. That was when we had the idea for something new, an idea that resolved the dilemmas of persons, places, and deep practice, what we called an integrated intensive. Was it worth an experiment? We decided to try a new format for an integrated intensive with a different kind of schedule. For 1 week, participants would come for 2 hours in the morning, then go to their jobs, families, and usual daily activities until returning again in the evening for another 2-hour session of Zazen. On Saturday, there would be a full day of the intensive, Zazen, service, meals, a work period, Dharma talks, tea break, and so on. This would allow people, including Flint and I, to continue to manage the responsibilities and commitments of their regular lives, yet still participate in a week-long intensive. And we could offer them more than once a year.
I think I saw an extra "and" in the paragraph prior.
Okay, hold on a second. Where Flint and I were brainstorming.
Go up to the page you read before. Yeah, the paragraph prior, the brainstorming.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was when we had the idea for "and" something new.
Or and something new.
Oh, yeah.
And I
Yeah. Yeah, that just has to come out.
Yeah, that's all.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then would it be, this would allow people, including Flint and me.
Oh, right.
Including us. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Fixed. I think
Who's next?
you, Alice.
I am?
Alice.
You are.
Okay, I'm sitting here wondering. We knew this was an accommodation. The point of a traditional session is to drop all other engagements, to concentrate body and mind for the duration solely on practice, to focus the light of awareness within and for a week or so at least, to live the simplified life of a Zen monastic. But this commitment of time away from family and work responsibilities was not, from a practical standpoint, possible for most of our Sangha members, and certainly not more than once a year. And it was costly. The integrated intensive format we knew would be a compromise, but we had to try it. Joko's urgent words echoed in our ears. We've got to get more efficient. We had to find ways for the Sangha to deepen their practice together. This new format was something we had to try at least, and we could use our own facilities, keeping costs low.
Maybe, we thought, the integrated intensive format would be less challenging, less powerful, less satisfying, and even, in Joko's terms, less efficient. Even so, we felt something was better than nothing, but we were wrong. It's true that participants were not setting aside their everyday lives and usual activities, except for a couple of hours in the morning and evenings, plus a Saturday. But the impact of this integration between the teachings, the practice, the Dharma activities, and their lives as they went about their regular routines was profound.
It was not an experiment of a special, separate time.
Experience. It was not an experience.
It was not an experience of a special, separate time and place apart from their lives, to which they would later return, but rather woven entirely into their lives. It was not the same as a sesshin we knew, but it was the resolution of a set of existential dilemmas for the Sangha that has proven powerful in the lives of Sangha members, teachers, and the Sangha as a whole.
Okay, I'm going to move this up here.
Precepts Program. Hui Neng, the sixth Zen ancestor, said, "It is precisely Buddhist conduct that is the Buddha." This means, as Peter Hershok notes, that the true Buddhist is seen in terms of conduct, that is, his or her lived revelations with others and not according to any individually possessed marks or states of consciousness. Buddhism rests on a deeply ethical foundation. The Buddha taught the principles of ethical living throughout his 45 years of teaching to every kind of audience, from farmers to disciples to kings.
It's worth saying here, Peg, I'm looking at chapter 10 now, and I'm hearing big echoes of it right here.
Yeah, this quote is in chapter 10.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peg, are you next?
Oh, yes, I am. I'm gonna move this up a little bit. Rest of the page. Although this ethical foundation parallels the ethical teachings of every major world religion in some way, Buddhism is unique in the way the precepts are presented. Rather than reflecting moral judgments or declarations of what is good and what is bad or evil, the Buddha taught an active process of inquiry into that which is wholesome and that which is unwholesome, that which contributes to the welfare of oneself and others, and that which leads to liberation. We are all responsible for our choices in every moment, regardless of our past experience or conditioning, our opinions and preferences. It's quite a different fundamental worldview from Judeo-Christian teachings of sin and salvation.
Rather than framing the precepts as commandments or rules to be obeyed, we would consider them as gifts that convey the wisdom based on lived experience. Appamada regularly offers a one-year program of once-a-month meetings to explore the Buddhist precepts from a contemporary practice perspective. The precepts program is based on shared inquiry and discovery of our own moral and ethical foundations, using the Buddhist precepts as an entry point, as a point of entry, and studying their application and evolution in our own lives.
Sewing Buddha's robe.
Before we do this, do we want to do the facing page? Because
Sure.
we're in the middle of a paragraph here at the bottom. I'm not sure if we can, here. This is a reflection from.
Does it go up further than that?
No, that's where it starts. In February 2025. That's where it starts.
Okay. In February 2025, Peg led an intensive at Appamada's Austin home, which had once been Peg's home, with the theme 6 Practices to Cultivate Joy. Instead of offering traditional Dharma talks, she had conversations with some Sangha members taking part in the intensive. I was one of them, and our conversation focused on the paramita of morality on the study of the precepts. Peg had led the Appamada precepts class for many years before she moved to Chicago in 2021, and I had taken those classes several times. And trusted teacher Todd Banker led the precepts program in 2021 and 2022, and I led the program in 2023 and 2024, with a lot of help from Sangha members including Ann Lipscomb, Jessica Steinbaumer, Rosemary Gardella Gates, and others.
Is it Kim?
Peg asked the people present in the room and online what arose for them when she said the word morality. Some mentioned negative associations and sensations, fear, a sense of being told to do good, or impose absolute standards of right and wrong. Citing author Dale Wright, Peg said that the Buddha warned against making morality synonymous with a system of rules, rather than the precepts that the Buddha gave his followers were trainings to make compassion and connection natural and habitual.
Beck asked why I had offered to lead the precepts programs. Why I had offered to lead the precepts programs. I said that there was a need and that I had seen her example and thoughts of stepping forward. She asked whom I modeled myself on as moral examples, and I cited the generosity and respect for others that my parents demonstrated, tutoring neighborhood kids, never taking what wasn't freely given. I mentioned that conversely, I had gone to Catholic schools, which presented a more exclusive vision centering on moral purity. Finally, I said I found that I had sense of integrity that made question what I was learning at school, and that eventually led me to some practice.
Say made me question, I think I got this from Joel. Okay. Peg asked me what had surprised me in leading the precepts groups. I'm going to push this down. More of that paragraph. I said I felt the courage of the people taking part who revealed important stories from their lives and the ways in which they saw their inner parts come forward to be met, which I said was in a sense no surprise, but was a surprising revelation each time. For more than a decade, we had used Diane Rossetto's book, Waking Up to What You Do, for each class. And I talked about how she presented each precept in a positive light, a path to set out on that was still enormously challenging. And I described my surprise at learning the liberating and even more challenging truth from Dogen's writings, that if you're not actively doing wrong, you are not a wrongdoer. In fact, know it or not, you are alive in your Buddha nature.
I asked for other voices to reflect on their experiences of studying the precepts with me. They pointed out their discovery about their inner parts, particularly the self-critical ones, were almost always concerned with rules, and that they were glad to explore instead a morality based in compassion and connection. I think there's something missing.
Yeah.
They pointed out that their discovery about their inner parts was almost.
They pointed out their discovery about their inner parts, particularly the self-critical ones, that were almost always concerned with rules.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then we could probably lose the comma after ones. Maybe.
No. Particularly
Okay.
the self-critical ones is a.
Okay. Got it. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
During the course of our talk, Peg gave a stirring summation. Quoting Stephen Batchelor, Peg said that morality was an ethical or moral orientation, based not in rules, but an energetic cherishing of what we regard as good. The Buddha, she said, described the precepts as pristine gifts. When one refrains from harming another, one gives others a gift of fearlessness. She added, I love the way of describing the precepts as gifts we give each other. They are enactments of the quality of care that is Appamada. Joel Barna, entrusted Dharma teacher, board member.
It looks like there's a space between the quote and I love the way.
Mm.
Ah, okay, fixed. Okay, so we'll go back and pick up this part of sewing Buddha's robes. Hold on a second. Let me get where I am about that. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna move. Okay.
Okay. Sewing Buddha's robe. You start wherever you can. You see a great need, so you thread a needle. You tie a knot in your thread. You find one place in the cloth through which to take one stitch, one simple stitch, nothing fancy, just one that's strong and true. Anne Lamott. Sewing Buddha's robe is an offering at Appamada for those who have taken the Precepts program or who are currently in the Precepts program and consider Appamada their practice home. It is entirely voluntary for those who would like to explore this traditional practice. It begins with some background reading in preparation for sewing a rakasu, or small, 5-paneled version of Buddha's robe. See the topics from the original class below. Participants begin with permission from one of the teachers. Then they may join the regular Sunday afternoon sewing group at any time.
I'm not sure we really actually have the topics listed.
Yeah, I
there.
was going to ask where they were.
Where are they?
Topics listed below, yeah.
Okay, all right. All right. I'm going to move this up a little bit.
I'm wondering too if the way of describing the rakasu, if you'll go up a little bit to, let's see, rakasu, comma, instead of or, if it was a small 5-panel version of Buddha's robe.
Uh-huh. Okay, I put it in italics also because I think it's the first time
Uh-huh.
talking about this way. Okay.
Am I next? The
Yeah.
history and tradition of the robe. In traditional Japanese Zen centers, there is a practice of sewing Buddha's robe, both in the large form, the kesa, worn by priests, and the smaller form, the rakasu, worn by those who are not ordained priests but have formally taken the precepts. The sewing is precise with tiny stitches piecing together scraps of fabric in a design that dates back to the time of the Buddha.
According to the legend, back in Buddha's day, a king in his carriage came upon a group of monks walking by the road. Halting the carriage, the king dismounted and did prostrations on the dusty ground before the monks, only to discover that they were not actually Buddha's disciples, but just random mendicants. He asked the Buddha to create a distinctive robe of smoke kind that could identify his true disciples.
The Buddha pondered this request, and one day, out walking with his attendant Ananda, he looked out over a plain of rice fields, a patchwork pattern that he found pleasing. He asked Ananda whether he thought they could create a design for a robe with a pattern like that. Ananda, an expert with the needle, agreed, and the patchwork robe of the Buddha's disciples was born. Originally, the Buddha asked his disciples to go to the charnel ground where corpses were thrown, find scraps of discarded fabric, wash them and dye them and sew them into robes. Today, almost any fabric may be used.
The Buddha first introduces the 3 refuges, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and then these 5 gifts, precepts, as streams of merit. I guess I'm curious why that's in brackets.
Oh, that's a good question. I think I originally did that because I was not sure whether this was going to be on this page or on the facing page.
It almost feels like it was a caption for something. Yeah.
No, it was, this is what I do with things that I think might belong on the other page.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just get that.
Oh, did you want the space after the M dash after Sangha?
No.
But it does seem like a big jump between
Mhm.
today, almost any fabric is used, and then it's sort of a non sequitur. The Buddha introduces the free, and we go right into the there are further monks, these 5
Mhm.
gifts.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to put today almost any fabric might be used in parentheses, and then that'll bracket it off.
But how do these 5 refuges and 5 gifts relate to sewing Buddha's robe?
Mhm.
I see. Okay. I'm making a note here. Okay, I'm making a note to myself, note to self. We just need a transition.
And then do you want a period at the end of merit?
Yes, a colon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, hold on a second. I'm just fixing this. Okay. All right.
Could I suggest, since you've been talking about, originally the Buddha asked, everything's in the past tense. Would the Buddha first introduced the 3 refuges? Keep it consistent with what came before.
Probably. Yeah, that transition just has to be fixed.
Okay.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are further.
There's a direct connection with the precepts and the robe, and that's the bridge that has to be built.
Okay, got it. You want me to continue or let
Yes.
somebody else? Okay. There are further, monks, these 5 gifts, pristine, of long standing, traditional, ancient, unadulterated, and never before adulterated, that are not being adulterated, and that will not be adulterated, not despised by wise ascetics and Brahmins. What are these 5 gifts?
Here, monks, a noble disciple gives up the destruction of life and abstains from it. By abstaining from the destruction of life, the noble disciple gives to immeasurable beings freedom from fear, hostility, and oppression. By giving to immeasurable beings freedom from fear, hostility, and oppression, he himself will enjoy immeasurable freedom from fear, hostility, and oppression. This is the first of those great gifts and the 4th stream of merit.
Further, monks, a noble disciple gives up the taking of what is not. Should that be given? And abstains from it? By abstaining from taking what is not given, the noble disciple gives to immeasurable beings freedom from fear. This is the second of these great gifts and the 5th stream of merit.
I think it's you, Melissa.
Thank you. Further, whoops. Further, monks, a noble disciple gives up wines, liquors, and intoxicants.
We went
The
past
basis,
where we were.
All right, did we go past where we were?
Yeah, it's the sexual freedom or the
Okay,
sexual.
sexual misconduct. Okay, I went up too far.
that's okay. Okay, so further, monks, a noble disciple gives up the taking of what is not
Given.
given. It does say what is not give.
I know.
Kim read
Kim
that.
just
Okay.
read that bit.
Okay, I'm sorry. I wouldn't. Okay, and abstains from it by abstaining from taking what is not quite the noble discipline gives the immeasurable beings freedom from fear. This is the second of these great gifts and the fifth stream of merit.
Furthermore, a noble disciple gives up sexual misconduct and abstains from it. By abstaining from sexual misconduct, the noble disciple gives the immeasurable beings freedom from fear. This is the third of those great gifts and the sixth stream of merit.
Further, monks, a noble disciple gives up false speech and abstains from it. By abstaining from false speech, the noble disciple gives to immeasurable beings freedom from fear, and so on. This is the fourth of those great gifts and the seventh stream of merit.
Further, monks, a noble disciple gives up wines, liquors, and intoxicants, the basis for negligence, and abstains from them. By abstaining from wines, liquors, and intoxicants, the noble disciple gives to immeasurable beings freedom from fear, hostility, and oppression. By giving to immeasurable beings freedom from fear, hostility, and oppression, he himself will enjoy immeasurable freedom from fear.
So starting here centuries later, were we reading things that were a direct quote from a Buddhist text and now we're not?
Yes. So this is, yeah. This is why I was thinking this was going to go on the other page,
Mm.
on the right-hand page. And I
Ah.
maybe what has to happen.
You could also just indent it to show that it's a quote,
Yeah.
to set it off.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it would be good on the facing page because it's qualitatively different
Mm-hmm.
than the rest of it.
And you haven't been doing indents in the rest of the book.
Correct.
Yeah, I
Right.
think it's probably that this needs to go. I think this probably needs to go on the facing page. So I'm just,
Yeah, that would be good.
and I think that's why I had the brackets on it before.
Yeah.
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 And then centuries later, it picks up
Yeah.
Right.
nicely with what
Yeah.
came before.
Right.
I think so. Yeah. And
Okay.
we didn't read the part about moral clarity
No, on the facing page.
on the facing. Should we read that?
Sure.
Okay.
Moral clarity. To the Kalamas, perplexed about what doctrines to pursue, the Buddha said, "Come, Kalamas, do not be satisfied with hearsay, or with tradition, or with legendary lore, or with what has come down in your scriptures, or with conjecture, or with logical inference, or with weighing evidence, or with liking for a view after pondering over it, or with someone else's ability, or with the thought, the monk is our teacher. When you know in yourselves these ideas are unwholesome, liable to censure, condemned by the wise, being adopted and put into effect, they lead to harm and suffering, then you should abandon them. When lust, hate, and delusion are abandoned, a man does not choose for his own affliction or for others' affliction or for the affliction of both. In that way, there comes to be extinction here and now, without delay, inviting inspection, onward leading, and experienceable by the wise."
Oops. Hold on here.
Come, Columbus. Do not go by oral tradition, by lineage of teaching, by hearsay, by a collection of texts, by logic, by inferential reasoning, by reason cognition.
Cogitation.
How do you say that?
Cogitation.
Cogitation, by the acceptance of a view after pondering it, by the seeming competence of a speaker, or because you think the ascetic is our teacher. But when you know for yourself, these things are wholesome, these things are blameless, these things are praised by the wise, these things, if undertaken and practiced, lead to welfare and happiness, then you should engage in them. In the Buddha's words, edited by Bhikkhu Bodhi.
Yeah, good advice in our internet age.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're in
Mm-hmm.
here. Uh,
I don't know. The reasoned cogitation sounds like a pretty good method to me.
yeah, you'll have to use some of that to decide what's wholesome, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Are we at centuries later?
Yes.
Okay. Censure is, I hate to ask because I think you said it couldn't be done before, but couldn't hear everything. Is there any way to make it just a tiny bit bigger?
This is
I
a,
know I'm the blind one of the group, but if there's not, that's okay.
this is as big as I can make it on,
Okay.
I have it on my big screen and I have it all the way out to the,
Okay.
Can you make it
You're fine.
bigger on yours, Melissa?
Uh, I will look and see. I think because it's on the Zoom, I may or may not be able to. But anyway, I don't want to set us down.
Is it a Mac
Centuries,
that, Melissa, is it a Mac that you have?
no.
Oh, because with the Mac, it's Command Plus, and then it gets bigger.
Oh,
But I don't
wait a
know how to
minute.
do it with a PC.
might be something.
It says it. Yeah, no, it says it's at 200%, so it won't let me.
No.
Okay.
For a regular computer, for a non-Mac, it's Control plus. Um, yes, I'm sorry. Where am we? Where are we? Okay. Centuries later, the pragmatic Chinese recognized that ro full robes would be cumbersome and impractical for working in the fields and for traveling and dangerous for times when Buddhists were facing persecution. They created the miniature form of the robe, the rakusi,
Rakusu.
rakusi, rakusu, very good, worn today in Zen centers all over the world by those who have taken the Buddhist precepts formally in the ceremony known as Jukai.
Hmm?
The the
Rakusu.
Rakusu, I'm sorry, the Rakusu had the virtue of being easy to tuck out of the way or conceal, easy to pack and to keep clean. The practice of sewing Buddha's robe and the Rakusu has continued right down to the present day.
But although Joko had trained in a traditional Zen center as a resident, been ordained and given Dharma transmission, and worn formal robes and rakusus every day, she did not adopt that practice for her own Zen center in San Diego. No one sewed, no one wore kesas or rakasus. In fact, I did not know such thing even exists until I became a regular at Austin Zen Center. I could see that the priests there were formal that there wore formal robes, that some of the Sangha members wore this bib-like thing called rakasu, but I really didn't think any of that applied to me.
Then one day, someone asked when I was planning to begin sewing. This startled me, and I asked the teacher there about it. I worried that embarking on that project would somehow be disloyal to Joko and to my little ordinary mind sitting group. Still, I felt drawn to it, although the only sewing I had ever done in my life had been sewing little blankets for my model horses.
Starting out, I was amazingly inept. It seemed like such a simple thing to do, and I'm a generally capable person, but my fingers could not seem to work right. The thread would fall out of the needle's eye or get tangled on the back of the piece I was working on. Week after week, I sat in the sewing room at AZC with the other students, sewing together. Crushingly, I made mistakes even when even when I was paying the closest attention, even when I was being very, very careful, barely breathing and muttering the sewing chant, step by arduous step. The thread broke, tangled, formed knots that had to be cut out. Stitches had to be tediously taken out, and little pieces of fabric pinned precisely back together for the next attempt. I slowed down and slowed down some more. I stopped thinking about this as a project that I was trying to finish. I was just putting in this stitch, then this one, taking out this row and beginning again. Slowly, I began to get the hang of it. Slowly, I persisted, and slowly, it magically came together.
I didn't feel triumphant or proud. I felt surprised that it did not look as bad as I had dreaded. And the ceremony of Jukai, where I received it and my new Buddhist name, was so moving. But that was just the beginning, because in a short while, I could begin sewing robes for my priest ordination, not just the rakusu, but a rakusu plus, a full priest robe, a bowing cloth, and 2 envelopes for the rakusu and the robe, a process that took a full 2 years. Kim.
Why am I not seeing the full 2 years? Oh, there. In our tradition, rakusus are blue for those who have taken jukai. Rakusus and robes are black for priests and brown for those with Dharma transmission. So a new set of robes is sewn for sometimes purchased for each new row. My black priest rolls thrilled me, and once ordained, I felt like a true ambassador of the Dharma. In my robes, I disappeared, and there was only serving the Buddha, serving the Dharma, and most of all, serving the Sangha. Do you want to mention the color for entrustment robes?
Oh, I should put that in. Hold on a second. But I'm really talking about the traditional colors here.
That's all right.
Yeah, I think it's probably better to talk about that because this
Okay.
is the tradition, and yeah.
And also, is there an extra space between the I and the I disappeared?
Hold on a second.
That I's kind of floating.
I think that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it fixed. Okay. I think this is Melissa.
Yes. But what is the beginning? But all, is that right? But all
Yeah.
of that was about to change because by 2006, I had left AZAC and returned full time to ordinary mind. One of the things I missed most was sewing and wearing Buddha robe. It was a great loss.
I have a question. Why did Joko didn't do the sewing practice?
Uh-huh.
Why?
As she said, she had stripped down practice to its bare essentials. She didn't ordain priests, so there wasn't really an occasion for robes. And for her, it was just about sitting, sessions, and dokusan.
So she didn't do Jukai either.
Oh no, she did no ceremonies. Yeah, I never saw a ceremony there.
Thank you.
Yeah, she had just stripped things down. All of this was extra to her.
Did she do bowing? Was there bowing?
Yeah, there was bowing. Yeah, I think she felt that was useful. Yeah.
Fast forward to 2014, I was discussing the possibility of studying toward Dharma transmission with the AZC teacher. He asked me if I was willing to sew the brown kesa or if I would want to purchase one. I didn't even have to think about it. Of course, I could sew it. He sighed, knowing it could be a 2-year project, at least. to sew the kesa, the rakasu, the bowing cloth, the envelopes. But I didn't want to rush. I didn't want to miss this experience. And besides, he had a lot of studying. We had a lot of studying and other work to do.
Soon after, he gave me a box with 12 yards of brown fabric to start. Colin, who was also studying for Dharma transmission, and I laid out the fabric, measured and cut pieces for both of our brown robes in the study at my house. And I began again sewing Buddha's robe, stitch by stitch, repeating with every stitch the sewing mantra, Namu Kie Butsu, here I plunge my life in Buddha.
I have to laugh at the teacher sighs. I'm sorry, I did laugh when Milen read that. Let's see. Somewhere in the middle, I began to be troubled by some new dilemmas. I found sewing practice profoundly nourishing. It had become a form of devotion. Stitch by stitch, I felt connected intimately with the Buddha and with the Dharma, yet this was not something we practiced at Appamada. I began to regret that our Sangha was deprived of this profound experience.
On the other hand, I also knew that in other sanghas, the wearing of the rakasu and the zendo created some distinctions that caused problems. People viewed them as status markers, and sometimes even those wearing them began to feel a little special compared with the others. After all, it was a visible sign of their commitment and standing in the community. Some people felt keenly that they were inadequate or diminished, that they were showing a lack of commitment and status reserved for those wearing rakasu. Others anguished over whether they should or should not sew a rakasu, whether they were worthy of one, and so on.
You know, on the side panel that Anne read before, there was an extra space between in the middle of a paragraph. I just remembered that. Can you go up to, it's on the right. You know, up more, there, right there on the top, under moral clarity, with Wayne evidence.
Oh,
I forgot to say something. I saw that.
Let's see. Oh, yeah. I fixed that. So the line spacing, you mean? There's two
Yeah, yeah.
there's two of them that are like that. Yeah. I got those fixed. Thanks.
Okay,
Okay, now where are we here? Down here.
sorry.
No, that's okay.
I
That's
have a
okay.
random question. Are these pictures high resolution
Yes.
to be printed?
What?
Yeah, like they can be printed.
Yes. These particular ones have not been resolved by Cassie, but Cassie's working on this part of the book now.
Mm,
Last part of the book, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. They will be fixed when she's done with them. Okay, so
Are we at, where are we now?
the dilemma from my perspective.
The dilemma from my perspective was how we could introduce this wonderful practice in our simple Joko style Sangha without creating invidious distinctions, comparing mind between those who wore them and those who did not. Another dilemma was that in our lineage, the Jukai ceremony can only be performed by someone who has Dharma transmission. In Sanghas without a Dharma transmitted teacher, someone with Dharma transmission has to be brought in to perform the ceremony. But I would be receiving Dharma transmission, and so I would be able to do the formal Jukai ceremonies, resolving the dilemma. And in 2013, I had a radical idea about the wearing of the rakasus. Flint and I discussed it and agreed. So our time's up.
Okay.
So what page is this?
518. And
Okay.
it's a fresh approach to the tradition of wearing the rakasu.
Okay, Monday the 8th. 7, 5, 15, a fresh approach.
518.
18.
Thanks. This is so very helpful.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
I can contribute.
Okay, great.
It's a little bit critical. I'm sorry. I'm seeing two themes in what we read tonight: an introduction to Zen, and also, maybe more importantly, a description of how we are adapting the practice to Appamada. Maybe more needs, and I think that's really why a number of people would be interested in this book, is why we've constructed it this way. Maybe more needs to be said of why we are adapting. And I know, a lot is said already. It is said in reference to integrated intensives. The question people might have is not only why we do some practices but not others, but why do we do any of the practices? Sewing, sitting. I mean, you talk about how it's a very meaningful experience to you. I think people have questions about this, and I don't know that you've answered them as fully as could be. Okay. Plenty is said about intensives. People come and sit, and then they don't. And then I get the feeling that it is as easy to not sit as it is to sit. Anyway, maybe saying more about why we do these practices would be good. People want guidance on why we do what we do.
That's in a previous chapter. That all of that is in a previous chapter.
Okay.
It's in chapter 12, basically. I think so.
Of course, it needs to be repeated over and over again for people to get it.
That's the question, how much to repeat things
Yeah.
and not be tedious for people.
And this is stuff you're going to get from readers who aren't part of it, too.
Yeah, and I think more of our audience, I think personally, more of our audience is going to be people who are either involved in starting a small sangha, somehow leading a sangha, and they're trying to figure out how we evolve it. So at the Liaison Teachers Association conference, I talked to many teachers who had been practicing with the same tiny little group for like 10 years above a yoga studio with no idea how to actually cultivate it, how to actually foster it. And that's in the back of my mind when I'm thinking about this book, like how do you think about evolving that, tiny little sitting group meeting once a week above a yoga studio if you'd like to develop it, right? So that's one of my target audiences, or someone who's already in the Sangha who wants to know, where did this all start? Where did this all come from? Yeah. So those are the people who are at least part.
Have you said enough about why Joko Beck dropped so many of these practices?
Yes. In the chapter about Joko, which is way back,
Okay.
Eons ago. Yeah.
Eons ago.
We're all a lot older than we were when we started this book. So.
You might want to just reference back to chapter 12 at the very beginning of this chapter. And just with something that says this is the practical how we did, or how I'm sure you can come up with much better words. But if you want a reminder of the why and the what is involved, please refer back to chapter 12. That way, those
Yeah.
of us who are sometimes put something down for say a while and then pick it up again
Yeah.
would be able to. And you have so much information, which is so good and so well done, but I think sometimes then when you get to this, you forget that you read about it, but just to have that reminder, if that's how you feel, just to go check it again. Which
Yeah.
also gives a continuity to the book, right? That oh yeah, see, I did do that. I knew you were going to ask me, and I had already done it back there.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a kind of transition from there. And the transition is about, okay, so here's all you've had all the history and all the philosophy and principles and everything, but what do you actually do? What do
Right. That
you do there?
yeah.
And
And
that's what,
that was a very good transition. I do remember that.
yeah. Because I'm thinking, like we provided a lot of foundational material, and then the question of readers. I'm always thinking about what's the question in the reader's mind right now. Right now, the question in the reader's mind is, oh yeah, this is all interesting, but what is it you actually do there? If I were to come there, what would I find? What would people be doing?
Right.
Yeah. So that was the question that I thought about when I started this section. Like, oh, here are all the
Yeah.
things we do. So this is a big one. This section is a big one because it has a whole history behind it, but the others are much shorter because they don't have quite as much of a long history.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's really helpful to hear it read, and it's really helpful to find these myriad things. What I wrote about is there's so many details to correct, and so many.
Mhm.
It's kind of daunting because every time I think, yeah, it's pretty much done now. So, Alice is going to be, dealing with the editing um, and then, when we're reading, I'm like, oh no, what is that doing here?
Oh no. Well, now you know why George Lucas had such a time with Star Wars and changed it 15 times after he could.
And he
Mm.
had a big team, he had a
Mm.
big team working on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it was his vision. It was totally his vision. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing, I was like, oh, so the goalposts keep moving. Now we're going to try and do a black and white version, right, Kim? That's another whole kettle of fish. Depends on color in this book. So much of the layout and everything, it depends on color. So it'll be interesting to see how we solve those
That'd
dilemmas.
be interesting. Yeah, it'd be really.
30 to 50 people have listened to our SoundCloud recordings.
These recordings? No, seriously?
Wow.
That is funny. I can't even imagine it. Oh, that's so funny. I,
Mhm.
I didn't even think these were public in any way, so it's kind of weird. I think people are watching them. Oh man.
Hmm.
Well, we'll have fun at the book launch. That'll be fun. I think probably late
Yeah.
April, maybe early May.
Yay. It's coming. Coming.
I know. Yeah. There's a certain sense in which, it'll never be really completely, ready. Um, but when I was working on the big Lincoln Dictionary for writing, 950 pages, which I laid out on a tiny
Hmm.
little 9-inch Mac monitor
Oh my God.
page, um, I just thought, oh, I was saying to my editor, in chief, like, oh no, here's this little mistake on page 283, we're already at the printers. And he said, we have to leave some mistakes in there for the English teachers to find.
That-
And
That's brilliant. That's
the
brilliant.
Amish would put in mistakes so they wouldn't be insulting God.
Right. Yep. The Native Americans did that too when they were weaving. There's
I
always
don't
a
think I
mistake.
have to add any mistakes. I think there are plenty of mistakes. Well, there'll be a
Hmm.
certain point when we have to release it into the wild, though,
Let it go.
Go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think we'll end up with a color version, a black and white version, and a PDF version. That's what seems like.
And are we gonna at any time, not right, but in the future, do an audio version?
I don't think so. Although I, you know, uh, there are all these crazy audio thing where people are just like turning pages in a book. That's all they're doing. Maybe maybe something. I mean, so much of it is visual. So much of it, the complement of it is visual. So maybe what it could be is like me reading it and screen sharing the book. Maybe that's what it would have to be.
You could do that. You could do that. You could also, I know I've seen books done this way, which is that you have the audio portion of the book, but when you buy the audio, you also are buying with
You
with a
get it.
little bit more. You can buy a PDF,
Yeah.
and then you have both, and you can look at the pictures. Trying to think, there was a book I read. It was called A Drop in the Bucket. It was about J.R.R. Tolkien's grandson wrote it, and it was a see my poor brain. It was a biography of himself and his brother and the whole situation, and it had some gorgeous pictures, and that's how they did it.
That's
And
a,
so you didn't lose out on the
yeah,
picture, or you could just buy it separately, and it was okay
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Here,
Interesting.
I want to show you the numbers on the um,
Oh God. Oh God, God, God.
look 75 here, 73 here.
Where are these? Who are these people? Where are they?
Are they coming from?
Oh, that's so
Well,
obvious.
I
So
guess a small part of it.
that's why I think too that there ought to be an audio version because that's how people are taking. They're doing this while they're driving.
Oh my
They're
God,
listening.
God. So what, Milan?
Driving, walking.
Yes, I just wanted to share to express my gratitude to this practice. Uh, I was moved tonight when we were reading this experience that you had with the sewing, um, and I have not been able to engage with sewing. I started to sew my rakasu, but somehow the time and but 2 years ago I started learning sumie and a little bit of calligraphy, which in a way, uh, for me, it's similar to sewing. So you
Mhm.
are meditating there and putting energy
Yeah.
while you're doing it. And I think I could have not been able to appreciate it if I have not have all the experiences I had in Appamada with all the activities.
Mm.
Uh, And I wrote a little something. It's not finished,
Oh
and
no, let's hear it.
and maybe it's just for tonight, of course. I wrote, to me now, some practice is both beautiful and complex. Beautiful because it helps me meet ordinary life in a contemplative way. Complex for the very same reason. Sitting, chanting, sharing, reading, working, writing, sewing, and returning to most of them again, just as the sun rises and goes down over and over.
Hmm.
It's beautiful.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Very, very, very nice. I like that. Yeah, very good.
Hmm.
Um, we don't. Oh, we're right at the end. It's okay. I didn't actually write about the book. I'm sorry. I wrote about the concepts you were talking about there at the end because it really um, grabbed me.
Well, go ahead.
You sure?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead, definitely. Yeah,
Um, and again, it also is not. It's not finished either.
but it's
Mhm. Um, I find it very interesting that, especially here in the United States, we look for hierarchical systems, even where there may not be one. If there are steps to go through to achieve something, then the person or persons who achieve that must, by definition, be better or higher on the scale than others. Not just different or having other information or work hard to get to that new place on the scale. But if someone has done that, they are automatically better than those of us who have not achieved it. Not more knowledgeable, not more practiced, but better. I wish the measurement could be on a flat ground and not up and down, walking forward more like a hopscotch game than a ladder. Even linear line on the ground holds less distinction if someone is further down the trail. It gives a sensation of forward movement, of going along. Even if someone is behind you or in front of you, they are on the same level. You should excuse you should excuse the pun, plane as you are. And everyone is progressing. Even if someone stops, others can go around or ask the other to please move toward or step aside. But a ladder, there is no side to step to. I'm sorry. So that's as far as I got for what it is.
It's good though. That's really good. Yeah, that's really to the point. That this will be probably more evident in next week when we read the rest of this section, where we talk about what it is we decided to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, yeah, it might have some resonance with what you're writing tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's great to spend time with you. See you next week.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Night.